Hello everyone and welcome back to Box Office Banter, your favorite box office recap show on the entire internet. I am your host Tanner Dykstra, joined as always by my good friend, co-host, and fellow box office enthusiast, Tucker Hazel.
Tanner, not only is this the internet's favorite box office show, it's the favorite box office month of the year, baby. It's Dumpuary. It's January. Yes, yes!
Tucker, that is a great point. We are talking about January 2026. January, Dumpuary is well and truly here.
Oh, yeah.
Though, there's a level of quality that, not just we, but many people are attributing to the films that came out this past month. That we usually don't see in January, I would say. And, some box office performance that we perhaps usually don't see out of those films.
A little spoiler.
Exactly.
This was the biggest January, total gross-wise, for the box office in the last 4 years. So
True.
And like, there's no way 2021 or 2020 were bigger
don't
than it.
think so.
Of the decade, we're on the up and up.
Absolutely.
We just need a Primate to come out every year, and then.
Tucker, wouldn't that be just a gift? Every month, maybe.
Yeah. You know what? There you go. Yeah. We missed it the first time.
Exactly.
Went out in theaters. Ooh, who distributed that?
That's a Paramount.
Oh, that's a Paramount joint?
Yeah.
Okay, Paramount. All right.
Yeah. Because you would think it's like a Universal Blumhouse, but it's not.
Yeah, it does. It got that feel. It's got that feel. But Tanner.
Yes?
We're here to talk about the box office.
Yes. But before we do that, Tucker, you're getting ahead of yourself. We have to remind the audience, as presumably it's their first time being on YouTube and they don't know how things work, that they should subscribe to Backlot Banter, for example, and like this video and comment down below, and perhaps most importantly, join our Discord server, link in the description.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very, very important.
But now, Tucker, we can get into the box office, starting with the top 10 domestic openings of January 2026.
Yeah. And Tanner, Sam Raimi, the king of the box office, is back with Send Help at the number one spot, $19 million domestic opening. Shout out to Sam Raimi making his comeback. Last time he had a obviously Multiverse of Madness was his last film. And before that, it was like literally 15 years ago or something ridiculous.
It was Oz the Great and Powerful in 2013.
2013. Okay, yeah, close to 15 years ago.
Yes.
And that might have been number one at the box office. Probably was.
It definitely was.
One of his horror movies.
That movie was like made like the year-end top 10 of 2013.
Is that
movie
true?
was.
I've never...
The movie's crazy because it was a big hit and lots of people went to go see it, but it thoroughly does not exist anymore.
No, absolutely not. No, I actually think I made a list at one point on Letterboxd that was like those movies, and it was like that weird late 2010 or early 2010s, late 2000s era of like things that had big budgets and stars, and they were like adventure movies, but they just no one gives a fuck. But Sam Raimi again. Back, Send Help, a little thriller, a tight little thriller. $19 million, nothing to cough at, but, Tanner,
Iron Lung on his heels.
No, this is an interesting one, Tanner.
Okay.
I've seen some conflicting things about Iron Lung's opening weekend. I've heard that it might be higher, that it might have opened to something like $21 million.
Well, that is the worldwide opening. That is the domestic opening. Tucker, don't fall into the trap that like all the Markiplier stands on Twitter and TikTok were screaming at our beloved box office aggregation data sites, but like you're underreporting Markiplier because you hate him or whatever. It's like there's a difference between domestic and worldwide total, and there is some confusion out there. I will give you this because this is not a major studio film. The Markiplier Studios does not report to box office aggregating sites like a Universal or a Warner Brothers does. And so, like if you look at Box Office Mojo, for example, I believe they still have it like at an estimated like 17.8. But trusty thenumbers.org has a more specific and updated number. Yes.
Yeah. So Iron Lung barely behind, and it was neck and neck in the opening weekend. We'll talk about those both. I think are sort of the two big stories of this month. But the Bone Temple is another big story for a very different reason. Only a $12 million opening for 28 years later, the Bone Temple at number 3, and then Primate $11 million. That's kind of what you expect for something like that.
Fine.
Not very far behind is Mercy at the 5th spot with a $10.8 million opening. And rounding out the top 10 is Greenland 2 Migration, Melania, Shelter, a re-release of Fellowship of the Ring, and Return to Silent Hill, closing out that top 10. Now, Ted, did you see Return to Silent Hill? Did we ever slide this one?
I did see Return to Silent Hill. I did not make a slide for it because it seemed like such a minor release compared to what we're going to be talking about. But I don't know. It's sort of like Christophe Gans returning to the series and sort of flubbing the material. I'm not a Silent Hill guy. I've never played a Silent Hill game, but I saw it with 2 Silent Hill fans, and they both greatly disliked it. So
I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
Yeah.
But let's start off by taking a look back at what we thought were going to be the top 5 openings. And Tanner, notably, neither of us placed enough faith in Mr. Iplier. Markiplier and Iron Lung, neither of us had that in our top 5. We did have the same movies in our top 5, but neither of us got even close, actually, to predicting the order here. I was looking at this as you were off out and about doing whatever it is that you were doing. I'll give you the edge just slightly because you have Send Help 1 place higher, which means it is slightly closer to its accurate spot, and you had Mercy in the correct place. And I slightly overestimated that. But also, if we take a look back at those numbers, it's a tight month here. Like everything is within this sort of $5 million window, and so it's not like we're really operating with crazy numbers here. But yeah, we were pretty wrong, and we definitely missed Markiplier. We missed Iron Lung. We underestimated it.
Absolutely. I don't think that, I wouldn't blame that too much on us. I don't think anybody saw the opening, the triumph of that film coming, especially like a month out from it. So
yeah.
All right.
But it's time to take a look at the comparisons for the month, Tanner, which is our Rotten Tomatoes and our cinema scores. And we've got, actually, overall, Tanner, not a bad spread, considering this is basically all like horror movies and thrillers. So from B- to A+, like that's within a pretty tight window. We don't have anything down on the D's, which frankly, Tanner, some of these movies might deserve.
Some of these movies might deserve. Before we started rolling here, you did want to quickly throw Melania on here, just because it is a fascinating object to look at, especially on here. An A cinema score, which for those who don't know, is the body that pulls moviegoers coming out of the theater. What did you think of the movie that you just saw?
Yeah, which mostly reflects the if a movie hit its target audience and like it met their expectations or exceeded it or whatever. And obviously, with a documentary about a political figure, the people who are going to go see that, especially in the general audiences, are going to be already interested in the subject matter, have predilections
we see this a lot happening.
So an A for Melania.
We see this happening a lot with similar demographics going to like faith-based movies as well. Like those always get high cinema scores as well. But if you look just a little catty corner down to the left there at the green end of our critic score tomato meter, you see it. What is that? Talking around 9% and 8%.
8% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is easily the biggest gap that I can think of between... And also, it has a 99% like audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Inflation, people making account. There's a lot of ones where it's like, oh, you'd made an account just to review this movie.
Yeah.
But there obviously is this big gap between the critical reception of the film. 8% is, like, legendarily terrible, especially for a documentary. Like, I feel like people are usually pretty soft in documentaries. It's like, oh, it's about real life. Like, it's not like... You can't really judge the production design or the acting in the same way that you do other things. But people were pretty harsh on it. These are only opportunity we're going to have to talk about Melania, so just going over it a little bit. I think it was like one of the biggest openings for a documentary.
It was one of. I don't think it hit the. I don't think it took the top spot. But I think the other top spot is like another sort of faith-based sort of documentary thing as well. Let me look that up actually.
Yeah, but we do have a pretty good spread here on the Rotten Tomatoes with, of course, Mercy coming in at just above 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Iron Lung and Greenland 2 squarely in the rotten category from the critics. Primate, though, shout out to Primate. Not because I actually like that movie almost at all, but because it is like on the edge of certified fresh. It's like, I remember that it releasing, and people were like, oh, is this like good actually? And I saw it. I don't know. I thought it was not very good. I thought it was a little bit under fine. So I'm really surprised by seeing it so high on the tomatoes meter. Like, what about it? Like, frankly, like that much better than another January horror movie.
I think people maybe perhaps liked the brutality of it. You know, we briefly referred or like compared this to like a Blumhouse, and like, you know, it is just distinctly more campy and gory than even something like a Night Swim or what was last year's Blumhouse January film, Tucker? What was it?
Well, we
can
have
look.
a slide there.
We can find out. Hang on.
What did we review last year? But, so Night Swim was like the big January Blumhouse movie.
Oh, Wolfman. Tucker was Wolfman.
Yeah, Primate's better than both of those.
Yeah, definitely.
But we do have Bone Temple and Send Help up at the top, certifiably certified fresh.
Yes.
Up at the top there, and both of them got pretty good cinema scores as well.
Yeah. Both, I would say, the two best movies that came out this month, certainly. So, we just talked about it a little bit. So let's go deep on Primate, Tucker. Let's talk it out.
Did you find out the answer? What the other?
I don't know. Maybe not opening. I did find a list of the highest grossing documentaries. Number one is Michael Jackson's "This Is It." But yeah. Hey, Fahrenheit 9/11's up there. March of the Penguins is up there. Lots of nature documentaries more so than.
Yeah. Well, also because I think those kind of just like show for like ever. Like they're just always at some fucking conservatory or zoo.
That's true.
And those do count. Those are tickets sold to a film. So I think they just kind of collect grosses over time. But,
sorry. Last point. Melania achieved the best opening for a non-music documentary in over a decade. The previous record holder there was Fahrenheit 9/11, which did open to $24 million opening for Fahrenheit 9/11.
Amazing.
That's nuts.
People really cared about that 9/11 thing.
I guess they did. Talk about Primate. Our own personal 9/11 Primate.
We're just saying things.
We're just saying things. So this opened to, as we mentioned, $11 million on a budget of $22 million. A little bit higher than you might see from something like an early year horror movie, but I think a lot of that can be attributed to the effects and the practicality of Ben the chimp in the film, which I think was a pretty successful part of this movie, and obviously the selling point of it was, hey, this chimp goes crazy. It has to feel real, has to look tactile in the world.
He goes apeshit.
He fucking goes apeshit, dude.
He does, and he does kill people. Quite a few of them.
In its debut weekend, it did perform quite well, actually. It outgrossed some 2025 holiday holdovers, and The Housemaid, Zootopia 2, and Marty Supreme, which were all holding over from December 2025.
Yeah,
it was
they're holdovers, and also they were all very big successes, and also very well liked.
January.
So this is not a bad opening stat. I think overall, I think this is a success. It's not an outside success. I don't think the budget or the marketing was like huge on this one, so it probably is profitable, and certainly over time, like this is a profitable venture. But with as much buzz as it had opening pretty solidly and having a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think I might have expected this to be a little bit more of a longer tail cultural splash that sometimes we get with a horror movie.
It
seems like people liked it, but it just didn't really pan out. Like it was like straight up like one weekend where people were like, oh, Primate's the thing, and then just everybody forgot about it.
I have at the bottom here. It fell from the top 10 domestic box office after the first week it was in theaters.
Really?
It fell out of the top 10. And again, all those movies that it beat in that opening weekend just surpassed it immediately. Just have a little bit more returning audience power to them.
So quite literally, the statistics actually back up exactly what I was saying.
Exactly.
I was kind of just like pulling that out of the vibes, but I'm like, no, actually, that's exactly what happened.
Opening weekend demographics I have jotted down here: 59% 18 to 34, pretty standard for a horror movie. Largely a male skewing audience. White and Hispanic audience is tied at 35%. Pretty standard for like audiences that come out to a gnarly looking horror movie like this.
Yeah, but that is Primate, which Tanner... I was going to say this was like the most January feeling movie to me, but I don't think that's true. I think it's Greenland 2 Migration.
You think so?
I move over to next.
Yes.
Jesus, fuck.
So this is a sequel to the 2020 film Greenland, which... the reason I wanted to talk about Migration, the Greenland 2 Migration, and its $90 million budget...
Migration's a different movie, Tanner. Very different movie.
True. Far better movie as well. And it's a $90 million budget, opened to only 8 and has grossed only 25. What?
Tanner,
what?
This is my live reaction to learning that Greenland 2 Migration had a $90 million. But
yeah.
Fucking why? There's no way they possibly expect. This is going to be one of the highest budgeted January movies like ever. Like it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I having seen Tucker, it's a lot of effects work. It is far more like globe trotting, or there's a lot of more different settings and sets and everything than there is in the first movie. The first movie I think is not bad actually. I think it's pretty solid. Especially like the first half being like the fucking world is ending, and how does this like normal family sort of cope with that stuff?
Sure.
But this is, they're in a fucking bunker in Greenland, and then there's like giant fucking electric storms that roll through, and sideways meteor showers that come through in the movie, and there's a canyon where like the what's the area of ocean between the UK and France called? What is that again? The English Channel?
Gibraltar
is that
Strait.
What that is? Gibraltar Strait.
The Strait of Gibraltar, I believe.
No, that's
that's
Spain
between Africa and Portugal.
It's the English Channel. The English Channel has like
you're right. I was placing. I just wanted to talk about Gibraltar Strait. I don't know. I wanted to flex my.
Listen, it's a good name. It's a good name, and a good pull too. But like, there's a whole set piece where they have to like traverse like rock tower. Like it's like a video game platforming level where there's like spires of rocks they have to like leap between in the dried up English Channel.
This is a normal-ass family? What?
Yeah, this normal-ass family. Well, I guess they are a normal-ass family. It's sort of unclear why, because in the first movie, Gerard Butler, it gets like a text that he's like been selected, him and his family have been selected to like be the designated survivors and like become, like go to these bunkers or whatever. And he's just like an architect. He's not like in the government or whatever. Wow. I don't know. I don't really understand. Okay. Tucker, Greenland to migration.
Tanner, that's a problem for Tanner because Tanner's like, only people in the government should survive the apocalypse.
Exactly. But then they also don't want to take his family because his son has diabetes or something. It's a whole thing.
No, because they don't have no insulin down there.
I guess not.
I don't know.
Anyway, Tucker.
Tanner, I did a tiny bit of research. I was like, okay, what other movie might have been similarly budgeted January? I was thinking Moonfall early February, actually. True. That had almost $150 million budget.
So let's obfuscate talking about Greenland 2 migration just for a minute longer.
Yeah. No, you were talking about it just now.
I was.
Not the box office, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should we count February as Dumpuary? It's sort of... phonetically, it does fit in.
Yeah, and I don't know, this February might be slightly stronger, but usually it does bleed quite heavily.
A blockbuster in February. Last year it was your Captain America. This year it's looking it's going to be Wuthering Heights that we'll be talking about at the end of the show. But I think maybe it can be lopped in there. Anyway,
sure.
So the reason I was so fascinated to talk about this is that Greenland in 2020 did not receive a domestic theatrical release. There was a little thing called the pandemic that was going on, which is why I was so interested that this film was getting a sequel, because that first film was largely, was financially successful on a budget of 35, it made 52, and then that's box office. That's not counting like VOD rentals because it went straight to video in the U.S. So it probably did make a good chunk of money for Lionsgate. And so they make this $90 million sequel that completely falls on its face because that movie came out in like the fog of 2020 and probably dads watched it on TV for $19.99. And then obviously no one cares to go see the sequel. No one remembers that movie.
No, of course not. Yeah. It's a bizarre project. I mean, again, if it had actually been made for 35, I would get it a little bit more, but this is serious blockbuster money we're working with here in a $90 million budget, and it obviously just wasn't positioned for that. I mean, it doesn't seem to be well received, so maybe they're just like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Like, we sunk all this money to it, just put it out, I guess. But yeah, just not bad idea from the start, and then a bad execution, and then also bad release.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those movies that just kind of feels like, I guess we have to make this. I put down at the bottom here, the distribution rights for the sequel was sold at the 2021 Cannes Film Market.
Wow.
So that comes a year, less than a year after the first film comes out, and is like a success in the pandemic or whatever.
Yeah, given the context, yeah.
And then Lionsgate just acquired the U.S. distribution in May of 2024. So this thing was a bit of a slow roll for the first half of the decade, and then it just comes out to a wet fart ultimately.
Yeah, weird all around, but
definitely
that's not all. Bone Temple. also released a couple days later. 28 years later, this is sequel to a film that released last year, directed by Nia DaCosta. Tanner, what happened here? $63 million budget. 28 years later, pretty surprising success. Over $150 million total on a budget of 60. I don't know how this one cost more, frankly. I'm surprised to see a $63 million budget. I would have thought you already made the sets, and those count, like the production of those sets counted in the budget of 28 years later.
So this is a question that I have, though, is that apparently these films were kind of made concurrently, or maybe like made one after the other to make use of those sets still. Yeah. So maybe these things have like they have a roughly commensurate budget, 60 and 63 or whatever. And that $3 million can maybe be attributed to standard contract stuff. Obviously, a lot of actors returning for this. It's a direct sequel, so it is not uncommon for actors to get like a sequel bump out of this thing.
Maybe, maybe.
That could attribute for just like the few $1 million, and then we can talk about it. Cillian Murphy makes a brief appearance in this. He had to get paid for that, most likely. Sure. So So I think, but I
don't know. I just like, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a film producer, but like. $60 million is already pretty solid for 28 years later. Like that's actually pretty big. And then like I'm just like, if you shot them at the same time and this was like reused and stuff, like where'd the money go? Like what? Like they're not receiving that big of a bump.
Well, I don't know. That's my question. Is that 63 like specifically for the production of the Bone Temple, or are these
it's all we have to work with?
Are we looking at like 120 million for 2 films? Are we looking at like the whole production costs somewhere around 60 to 63 million dollars?
Well, regardless. One thing we can say is if we are lumping the 2 films together, this is a broadly profitable venture. Both films were well received.
Yeah.
But Bone Temple, massive drop-off. I mean, it's absolutely massive. Yeah, $100 million less. Really started falling quickly after a decent first weekend, as we talked about. It was up the top of the top 5. And people loved it. We loved it. I think it's better. I think it's the best of any of the 28 series.
This is the important thing to mention. The people who went to go see it loved it.
Sure.
I think there is a contingent that we need to talk about here, because 28 years later, back in June, also had a pretty hefty second weekend drop.
Sure. Yeah.
And, that got a B cinema score as well. That one drew in a lot more general audience than the 28 years later films perhaps are used to doing, because that film was very well marketed. We all remember the iconic trailer for that.
Great trailer.
There was a great buzz around going to see that movie, and then it was a contemplative Danny Boyle post-apocalypse coming-of-age movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think a lot of general audiences were kind of like, what was that? And then it has this very strange ending that, of course, bowls right into this film.
Yeah.
So I think you lost a lot of general audience folks on that endeavor.
That's a very good point. And then to that point as well, I would say. Maybe not necessarily on the same point of the ending, but like most of what you said also applies to Bone Temple, and that good trailers feels like it's gonna be some sort of like epic gritty thing, but like it also is a much more like talky contemplative movie. It's a little bit more violent, but like it also is just like long stretches of like guys yapping at each other.
So I think what this is that opening weekend was like fans of the first movie, largely. That's where the A cinema score comes from as well. It's people who were on board with what Boyle was doing here and wanted to come back for that sequel.
Yeah.
And then they all see it opening weekend, as those things tend to do. And the word of mouth is kind of ineffective on this, because 28 years later is so fresh in the minds of general audiences that they don't really, they're not really motivated to come out and see it again.
Yeah, that's one thing that, like, though this is exciting and cool, and both of us like both of these movies, one thing that you can't necessarily undersell is that a sequel this close, people are like, oh, well, I just saw the other one. Like, I'm not in the mood for that yet. I haven't been given time to miss it. And so that, I think, also might have contributed to it. Also, just generally, January is a very slow time for the box office. People are still going to see these massive holdover movies. They might have gone and saw, like, 2 or maybe 3 movies in December, which means, like hey, work's starting back up again. I'm not going to the theater again in the early part of the year. There's a lot of, like, general... And also, lots of big storms, like ice storms in
January.
Yes,
that'll be something that we talk about on the next week. That was sort of like the big winter storm weekend in the U.S. here. But this was even set up, I guess, a little bit to assuage some of those things. It came out over MLK weekend, so it did have like a 4-day where some people had that Monday off. But yeah, I think it is just the issues of this is maybe more of a niche endeavor than Sony. Yeah, Sony, right? That was made it out to be. But again, I think Danny Boyle. They've already, as of December, they said that they are making this third film, 28 years later film, which Danny Boyle will be coming back to direct. And I think he's sandbagged and prepared for this in a really smart way, where even while this second film is a disappointment, and if Sony hadn't greenlighted that third film already, they might be a little bit more apprehensive to do so now. But now we know that Cillian Murphy is going to be coming back for that third film.
You can't not make that movie.
So that it weighs the decision a little bit more. It's like, well, he is like a big name that people will be excited to maybe see come back to it. So yeah, and this third film probably won't be coming out until 2027 or something like that. So
definitely, yeah. So we've got a little bit of time.
Yes,
but Tanner, that's not all. Mercy came out in January. $42 million total on a budget of $60 million, 24% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm rambling out the stats here. Any thoughts one way or the other on this one? Number one, Tanner. Stinker. Mm-hmm. This movie sucks.
Stinker.
I mean, we did a review.
Really
it's exceptionally fucking terrible movie. One that I can't wait to see, like, people do commentaries of. It's like a bad movie YouTube channel.
Sure,
like they're like watching along with it and be like, what the hell is going on here?
I watched the Chris Pratt AI movie, so you don't have to.
Like the War of the Worlds from last year,
Exactly, that kind of thing. It is certainly on that level. But yeah. My thoughts on it, Art Talker, is a incredibly depressing movie to dethrone Avatar: Fire and Ash, and its 5-week run. It was inevitably going to happen, but I think everyone was kind of hoping that it would just be 28 years later. Sure. But that film was a little bit softer on that opening weekend. Yeah. Well, even while Mercy opened lower, it opened a week later. Avatar had another week to drop off. So pretty just an unfortunate circumstance there, I would say. It's not like this movie was especially well liked. No. It's a Chris Pratt who is the biggest movie star, one of the biggest movie stars we have working right now. Though, how true is that? Considering this,
especially for his original films, I think that there frankly are two Chris Pratts. It's the guy whose name you recognize that broadly people like, he's a likable enough guy. He's a decent enough actor. He's been in things that you've enjoyed, and so you're like, oh yeah, like he's a pro for having him in a movie. And I think he's part of the reason why this movie made any money. I mean, if this was
definitely
if this was anyone else, like I feel like this would have only made $20 million or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's the actual Chris Pratt, which is that we think of as like actually he's just tied to big name stuff. He's in Jurassic. He's in Marvel. He's in Garfield. He's in Mario. He's doing all these things, but you're not going to see Mario because Chris Pratt's in it. Exactly. Chris Pratt happens to be in fucking Mario.
But the other side of that coin is could kind of be anybody else in any of those roles.
100%, yeah. I don't know. He's Star-Lord. You're not divorcing him from
that's fair enough. We all liked him when he was Star-Lord. It felt
Still
a little bit more exactly. It felt more catered to his persona, but everything else, you're kind of like exactly.
Well, and also he's like dipped his toes into things like this a little bit earlier on with like more dramatic and more serious roles, and he's just not cut out for it. He's not cut out for it.
I think another symptom of that is that he's also cheapening his movie star bankability by being in so much TV. He has his Amazon Prime films and Amazon Prime streaming series, The Terminal List, and all this sort of stuff.
Jesus.
I think
War.
Again, exactly. It points to the thing that people are often saying about the danger of being in streaming movies and streaming TV series is that it makes you feel less like an event. If you want to cultivate that as a movie star.
But Mercy didn't feel like an event, and the numbers show that. I mean, 10 million is for a January movie is fine. This is not a disastrous opening, but for a $60 million budget, it is. I mean,
and first of all, Tucker, can I say, how did this movie cost $60 million? Not to cheapen the great name of the film Mercy, but it's Chris Pratt sitting in a chair for 90 minutes.
Yeah. There's like a couple stunts and like a couple explosions.
There's trucks and things like that, but that's all obviously digital and CGI and everything like that. There's very little practicality of things.
There's flying things.
Yeah.
Some drone sequences.
I'm sure director Timur Bekmambetov would like to knock that budget down by using AI in this film. As I tried to find his quote or some information on this, because that is what I've heard, is that he wanted to use real AI, especially for like the Judge Maddox character. Like he wanted to use an AI avatar for that. What I did find is something far more damning and sinister, I would say, about Bekmambetov's relationship to AI in filmmaking. Over the past 10 years, he has spent upwards of $5 million of his own money, apparently, to develop a program to create and train AI, I put in quotes here, AI actors.
Interesting.
And he plans to use this technology for his next film. It's an adaptation of a book called The Man with the Shattered World. I don't know if the film will be called that, but that is apparently his next project, and he wants to use AI actors in it.
Very interesting. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I will say, I think that like for specifically this movie, I think it would have been kind of interesting to have the the movie wouldn't have been better. It might not have, frankly, even been worse if they.
I might not have seen it just out of protest if it actually used AI actors.
Yeah, I just think like thematically it would have been kind of interesting.
Sure.
It would have made this a little more of a
conceptually,
story.
I understand where you're coming from. In practice, I'm like, this is problematic for A through Z reasons, and we shouldn't be doing this in the industry. But conceptually, I understand where Rocks for Brains Bekmambetov would be coming from with that.
Yeah, well, we'll see how his next movie does, if that ends up being true. But this one's not making the money. I mean, boy, we'll see if it does anything on streaming. I kind of doubt it. I mean, big faces on a title card, and I don't know. I think a pretty interesting concept. So if like someone's watching like the couple second teaser on a streaming service, maybe they'll click on it. But like overall, just a fucking downer.
People watch anything on streaming now. It's not exactly a high praise.
True. That's true.
So, Doug, let's move on to, as we preface at the beginning here, kind of the two most interesting movies that we have to talk about here, and the two biggest hits that we have to talk about. So we're starting with Sam Raimi's. Yes,
on the same day.
Same day, exactly. Yeah. Send Help, Sam Raimi's new film.
93%. Holy shit.
Yes. On a budget of $40 billion, it opened to 19 very
That's like
solid
Primate
opening.
Numbers, Tammer.
Exactly. Thank you. It's made 36 so far, will continue to do quite well, is looking to repeat number one this weekend as well. The very soft first weekend of February that we're in right now.
I was like, oh boy, I just saw Send Help in Iron Lung. I'm feeling like going to the theaters. What's coming? Oh, nothing. Yeah, nothing's happening.
Not doing anything.
Everyone would get out of the way of Mark Fishback there.
Exactly. It's a B+ cinema score, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, people very amped and excited about the return of Sam Raimi to this kind of movie.
Sure.
You know, a gnarly, straightforward, pared down horror thriller kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It was the biggest domestic opening weekend of 2026. Again, followed very closely by Iron Lung, which we'll be talking about in a moment. And this is the kind of the thing that I wanted to, that's most interesting, that, seems obvious, but, we can look at the exact numbers here on Send Help versus Iron Lung, is these opening weekend demographics and the age breakdown.
Yeah.
For Send Help, it's skewed older. Only 22% of that opening weekend audience was under the age of 25.
Interesting. Okay, that's pretty low, yeah.
Yeah, quite low. Leading demographic was men over 25 at 38% of the audience. Basically, any men, women under 25 broke for Iron Lung, and men, women over 25 broke for Send Help.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It is also, we pointed to that 93% Rotten Tomatoes, Sam Raimi's best reviewed film since Spider-Man 2 over 20 years ago.
But again, not a lot of competition.
Yeah,
like, he not only has not many movies, but like it's like Spider-Man 3 people didn't really like.
This is his fifth film in those 20 plus years.
Yeah, which is counting Spider-Man 2,
not counting Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 3, Drag Me to Hell, Oz the Great and Powerful, Doctor Strange, Send Help.
Yeah, interesting. crazy lineup there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very glad he's back. I like this movie quite a bit. We gave a very positive review to it ourselves. Yeah. And I'd love to see him kind of work his way back into the cultural consciousness, because it does speak, I think, the demographic stuff there to young moviegoers, and I think this is very fair given those last 5 movies we mentioned. Do not associate the name Sam Raimi with something that is a must-see movie. I think this movie was very good, and as film history fans, and knowing the past success of where his career started, and of course the Spider-Man movies and stuff, he's someone that we will seek out seeing a movie from. But there's not the, like, if you say, oh, box office draw directors for horror, I would say there's probably 10 currently working directors that, especially a younger audience, would go, and that would go to see, and that would cause a bigger box office.
Here's the thing about that that's really interesting, though, because we talked about, the sort of lack of Raimi films over the last 20 years to cultivate that younger audience, and we see that sort of borne out in the opening weekend demographics here. People, I think we are kind of like the lowest end of people who still have a reverence for, not necessarily you, because you have, you're softer on like that Raimi trilogy, but like the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is massive for people kind of our age and older, I would say, not necessarily younger. No,
I mean, frankly, it's because, and I don't know, like you and I are like close to this, like kind of mixed on it. The Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are like, equally, they're more popular. He's a much more iconic version of that character.
If you were 20 years old
now,
if you're 20 years old, the Tom Holland films are far more iconic, or rather, the Andrew Garfield movies are far more iconic to you than the Tobey Maguire ones are.
Maybe.
Tucker, there are young people who are just a couple years younger than us, and even some people our age, who have a real soft spot and quite like those movies.
Yeah, but Sam Raimi trying to find his way back into something that I think feels more authentically him. I was not a fan of Multiverse of Madness. His Awesome, Great, and Powerful I actually never seen, so I have no idea how I would feel about that movie.
That movie's really bad.
It's really bad. Okay.
Just so boring and nothing.
might have to watch it. Sounds like my kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very pleased to see the success of Send Help is going to pass its production budget. It's certainly not going to double it. I would say, 55 maybe by the end, like when we check in next month.
That'd be fair. I think it could potentially play into, well, it's kind of going to get its lunch eaten by like a Wuthering Heights or something like that. Because I've noticed that they've sort of taken. I've gotten some TikTok ads recently that like I skip past them pretty quickly, but they immediately start by trying to pitch this as like a sweet kind of romance adjacent kind of thing, and then I assume it shifts into like, you thought it was this with the ad, but now it's fuck up and scary or whatever. But yeah, I think it's also, we should also mention Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien are like perhaps kind of underrated stars for audiences like 25 to 35 or whatever, and people our age as well. People know Dylan O'Brien from his YA action movie days in The Maze Runner, and like Rachel McAdams has always kind of been omnipresent, The Notebook and About Time and all sorts of things like that. So they are recognizable faces that are selling this movie as well, equal to and perhaps greater for some people than Sam Raimi's name. Yeah,
and well, Tanner, this was the highest grossing movie of the month and the biggest opening of the weekend it came out. I would say it's not the big story.
No,
Iron Lung is the big story.
Absolutely,
a $3 million budgeted, independently produced video game adaptation from a YouTuber has already, in 9 days of release or whatever, ten-tupled, Tanner, its budget. This is one of the biggest indie success stories of the 2020s, easily.
Of all time, probably, I would say.
Well, I mean, like, if we go back and look at something like,
well, here's the thing. I tried to figure this out. Because it gets really sticky and like in the weeds if you try to figure out like self-distributed. because that's what this film is distributed by Markiplier Studios.
Yes. Yeah.
If you look up what are the highest grossing independent films of all time, you'll get like Passion of the Christ and all these obviously very famous movies. There's like A24 movies in there as well. Yeah. But it's like those movies had big labels behind them releasing them. Yes. This is a self-financed, self-distributed in the truest sense of the word film.
Self-distributed is the most insane part there.
Absolutely, it is.
Like a lot of people making a $3 million movie out there, and they certainly don't see this kind of widespread popularity and financial acclaim. But someone getting it into theaters with essentially him and his friends figuring it out.
Exactly.
I'm just over the moon that this happened. I thought that the movie was pretty cool myself, and as a fan of the game as well, it was very interesting to see one of the first indie movies ever, or indie games ever, get a film adaptation and see it do as well as it is. It also seems to be holding decently well, given that it was actually only supposed to be in theaters for 1 week. That's not going to be the case anymore. When we talk about a couple of these movies being Mercy or Greenland 2 is no redeeming factors for either of those, 44% on Rotten Tomatoes critically is the worst thing you can say about it, and it does not fucking matter at all. People are loving Iron Lung. They are talking about Iron Lung memes on the internet, and again, $3 million budget. And also, Tanner, this is an asterisk we can barely put on any movies. No marketing budget. Markiplier made some shorts or videos on his YouTube channel that doesn't even really count as marketing.
Does not count.
And so
it's not
straight
overhead.
Up, they spent $3 million on this movie, and it's already made 10 times that back, and it has not stopped.
$3 million, and I think he obviously paid a little to this company. I listened to an interview with him on this company called Centurion, who is like a broker between him and the movie theater chains. Yeah. But they were not the company that distributed the movie. They were basically just like, we will help you get conversations started with AMC and Regal and whomever. But even then, Tucker, that got way more traction than even this tiny little brokerage company could have done, because what they basically negotiated back December, late December, early January was in an interview he's like, initially the plan was 3 theaters, and Markiplier pushed back on that, and he's like, no, it needs to be at least somewhat wider than that. It needs to feel like a real thing for my fans who I've been talking up this movie for 3 years.
Holy shit!
So then by beginning of the year, it was 60 theater was the plan. Major markets across the U.S. basically.
And yes, that's when I bought my tickets.
Yeah,
it was early on when there was very few theaters, the day that the tickets were made available, and so I drove over 2 hours to go see this movie. Yeah. Not because it wasn't actually showing in Austin, which is where I'm from, a major metropolitan area, plenty of movies show here, but that when we bought our tickets, there wasn't showtime.
Exactly.
Maybe they were sold out or something, but we could have. And frankly, maybe we should have just let our tickets go and go find a showtime with some seats.
Closer,
20 minutes away.
Because it was in 4,000 locations internationally, and that includes it was 3,500 across the U.S. That's amazing. Wide film. That is a wide release film that some films with big movie stars from major studios do not get 3,500 theaters.
It might have even been the biggest or the widest release of the month. 3,500 is
I looked it up just to see it. 28 years later, it was in 37.
Oh, very close though. Very close.
Exactly. So it's getting that level of distribution, and that was all predicated basically on this fan campaign to call your local theater, email your local theater, to ask them to show this movie, and then that just started snowballed into itself. That started snowballing onto itself because that once you hit 1,000, 2,000 theaters, all the other locations, the other managers
we
are
want this too.
What's going on? Is this a thing? We should schedule times for this. So that's how you get that 3,500 or 4,000 international number.
It's all impressive. Here's what I'll say. If the Oracle is to predict anything that comes out of this, it's that this is the story, and it's gonna be ultimately pretty insular. I think this is going to kind of be a one-off thing. Maybe Markiplier makes another movie. He has not announced anything. I don't know if that's the case. But, it's not we're going to see a flood of YouTubers making indie game adaptations, or even like necessarily starting to make indie movies. I don't necessarily think that this makes theaters more likely to like reach out to self-distributed films to show them. Like, I think this was a very special confluence of factors with one of the biggest names in YouTube entertainment attached to it. And you know, a horror movie is something that is decently marketable. I don't necessarily see this being a trendsetter, though of course I wish it would be. I think when we look back 5 years from now, it's going to be like, oh, that was really cool, but it didn't really change anything. Yeah, that would be my prediction.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think it will obviously. I think it honestly might just confuse people or confuse studio heads and theater chains and the powers that be more so than anything. Because this is not, as you're mentioning, not easily replicatable. No. Especially on a mass scale. It is a absolute independent groundswell, kind of a one-off thing, like you were mentioning. But what it will do, I think, is just sort of cement to these studios that like YouTube, that sort of like, you know, is it even fair to call that like new media anymore? I don't really know.
YouTube's 20 years old, man.
Exactly.
No, it's 20 years old, 2005.
Exactly. But like this sort of like streamer YouTuber based stuff and indie video games, like this is all an entirely new world that they can try to crack into. Perhaps not successfully, you know, if they still bring a old business mindset to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What else did I have here? Oh yeah, again, as I mentioned, 62% of that opening weekend audience was under the age of 25. So that's a very strong young audience skew. 38% of the box office was walk-up tickets, which is not high, but also like higher than I maybe would have anticipated. Like there was obviously maybe a word of mouth thing that got around, especially after that opening week, or you know, during that opening weekend rather. Yeah. Or maybe it might just be a thing of like some people just don't have their movie theater app or whatever. You know, some people just like buy the tickets at the box office.
But it also is interesting to note that like the balance of factors there is a lot of showtimes were sold out because this was a big fan thing. But because it expanded to so many theaters, there were still showtimes that weren't full. So you can get almost 40% of the people being able to walk up and get tickets. It's just a cool story all around. And shout out to Markiplier, who also, again, as you mentioned, doing a bunch of interviews and stuff. He's not a film producer. He literally is, but like he's not historically a film producer, film director in this way that we get. You know, a lot of people, or most films are from people that have a very specific media training and mindset. No, he's a YouTuber. Like the whole weekend this was coming out, he was like on stream, like being like, guys, it's doing so well, holy shit, like interacting with his community, going on podcasts, stuff like that. Like this is, his energy is very reflective of, I mean, frankly, even like the energy of like us and being YouTubers ourselves, and like knowing what streaming culture and interacting with chat and like building a community is like. It's very, very different from people even 10, 15 years older than us who, you know, their internet presence is like chat rooms and, you know, like early Facebook or whatever. It's like things at times have changed, and he's definitely able to cultivate a obviously very lucrative audience. I mean, he's made so much money.
Absolutely. The last thing I'll say is, you know, to that point, in that interview that I heard him give, he did mention that, like, you know, any profit that he's like, any profit that I make on this, like, I'm gonna give like bonuses to the production crew and everybody who helped me out here. At which point I'm like, I think he probably said that when he was expecting us to open to like $6 million or like $5 million. Yeah. Those are going to be some fucking hefty bonuses if he's cutting up like $25 million across the entire crew.
Can you imagine if you were like, you know, part of the set crew? Yeah. And then on this like movie in some guy's garage, and then 2 years later, because she started working on this a long time ago. Like 3 years later, you like, you know, you open your fucking mailbox or your email or whatever, and it's like $400,000. Jesus Christ! So, but I hope
that'd be
so cool.
Oh yeah.
Last time
on Backlot
Banter.
Let's find out. The last time we some of these movies, it's crazy that like damn, we talked about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 like 9 weeks ago. Has been obviously on VOD and streaming for a while now. Made $238 million. Did very well for Universal and Blumhouse, and as we already mentioned, it will get a sequel. Will continue on this series, obviously.
Yeah, though Avatar, a notable step down. Total financial wise from the first film, was, but doesn't fucking matter.
Avatar: Fire and Ash has basically is still in theaters, but like it's February now and will be wrapping up quite soon. Has made a worldwide total of $1.42 billion, and that means it ended up at we sort of hummed and hawed about this when we did our year end / look ahead to 2026 video. It's like where will it end up? It didn't really budge from the places that it was at when we did those videos.
It's funny to say when we're talking about $400 million.
Yeah, exactly.
In the gross.
But Zootopia 2 just continued to super not outperform this. Like it did outperform Avatar: Fire and Ash. So this Avatar is at number 3 domestic for 2025 and number 4 worldwide for 2025, which is pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, and also, so we're not talking about Zootopia 2 here. It became the highest grossing animated movie.
Absolutely.
Of all time. So
Neja 2 was the highest grossing animated film.
My bad.
Highest grossing American, animated, Disney, whatever thing you want to throw at it.
I think Disney movie was what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Fucking crazy. The Housemaid, Tanner, $332 million, announced a sequel. I mean, just phenomenal, amazing.
Just a fucking steam train, a steam locomotive. This thing was that like every week it'd be like, yeah, man. Every few weeks I'd see the box office accounts that I follow being like, Housemaid looking to end up at like 200 plus, and then a couple weeks later it's like 250 plus, and then it's like this movie's gonna make over $300 million at the worldwide box office, and it's just insane. I mean, I think they're talking about like what studios might take away from this. Obviously, as you mentioned, a sequel has been greenlit and will probably be fast tracked for a release, maybe like Christmas 2028. I assume they want to maintain a very similar window for this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you turn around faster than that.
Well, Sydney Sweeney's she's got other projects. We'll be talking about at least one of them in the headlines section here.
No, that's true. She would be the limiting factor.
Absolutely, she is. Yes. But is it? Obviously, I think this points to that there is definitely an audience for female skewing stories and female skewing like targeted movies and everything like that.
An underserved market.
Absolutely, and we this is a lesson that we apparently have to learn like twice a year. Women
go see movies.
They do.
They're half the population. You fucking Hollywood. But it's not all about the girlies, Tanner.
Sometimes it's about the dudes.
Sometimes it's about freaking Marty. Fucking Marty Mauser, baby.
And Timothée Chalamet. Marty Supreme has made $129 million worldwide. Will be coming to VOD this coming Tuesday, I have heard. So, obviously has a Best Picture nomination and several other Oscar nominations under its belt. So we'll get, a loose sort of continuing theatrical run through award season, I would say, but this is a massive win for A24. It is their highest grossing film ever. It is a cementing of Timothée Chalamet as a movie star. It's sort of solidifying him as a box office draw outside of preordained action sci-fi franchises.
Yeah, because he is in some way the anti-Chris Pratt in that he's actually genuinely able to carry his blockbuster success, of which there's numerous, into like comparatively scrappy indie projects, original films. So very, very unique character we got there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Anaconda has made $130 million worldwide.
That's a lot of goddamn money for the Anaconda reboot we thought was a joke.
Yeah. Oh, hey,
it's a lot of money, Tanner.
Doing a live update, week 1, not week 12. Sorry. And there you go.
That's fine.
It's all right. But yeah, I mean, this movie did quite well. I know there was sequel talk for it. I don't know if that's something that'll actually happen. Jack Black is obviously going to be booked and busy for the next couple of years. Paul Rudd is always doing stuff too. Is this at the top of the Sony priority list? I just don't know. But it's a win. And also, Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to dissect on this one.
Because I don't know, it's not that interesting, but it's a win.
It is.
Like, those two things can coexist
for a comedy, but also it's like an action comedy again. I'd like to see
horror comedy.
Something like monster creature feature kind of thing. I'd like to see if like the likes of like Jack Black or Paul Rudd could repeat this success for like a more standard down the middle comedy as well.
Sure, I mean, yes, please. Yes, please. They're funny guys. They're funny guys, and they're funny guys in that movie. So,
and like, are people going to it for Anaconda, or are they going to it because Jack Black, Paul Rudd, funny?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tanner.
Yes.
Month by month, looking back at how 2024 and 2025, how we felt about the January movie. We talk about Dumpuary, but I mean, I don't know. The average last year was pretty strong, all things considered.
Yeah, honestly.
Wait, you saw fucking Dogman, Tanner?
Yeah.
Oh.
I took Anna's little brother to go see.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Would you have seen it on your own?
Probably not.
No, probably not.
But he was a fan. He was a fan of the books and everything like that, so he wanted to go see it. So movie's okay. Movie's okay.
Yeah, but Tanner, mixed month here. Some real stinkers in our perspective. A couple of pretty solid wins. Iron Lung we thought was pretty interesting. So it balances out to an average, I will say. But just, God, it's just, oh my God, it's just so much better than 2024. I mean, just
2024, Jesus fucking Christ, look at that. Book of Clarence, ISS, Beekeeper, Mean Girls, and you don't want your best movie out of a month to be Mean Girls. That's not what you want.
Fine.
Yeah.
And not really for us. I don't know.
No.
And then, I don't know, last year I was decently warm on, actually. I mean, 6.0 is obviously a better average. Wolfman is a real fucking stinker, as we mentioned. But, like, original comedy, original horror, really unique music biopic, and I thought Flight Risk was kind of silly. So
I didn't really have the patience for it, coming from Mel and Mark, but whatever. So that's come and gone, and he's going to have a much greater box office success in just over a year, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. We mentioned it. You mentioned this actually because I was live making this graph before we started rolling here. That 2026 is the hottest start to the domestic box office in the last 4 years. This is coming off of
and by extent the last 7 years.
Well, yes, of course. This is coming off of course, like Avatar, as we mentioned, but even the other big holiday holdovers that we just talked about, Marty Supreme, The Housemaid, Zootopia 2 still sticking around even.
100%.
So, very, very solid start. I have high confidence for February. We'll talk about its upcoming hits in a couple of slides, but I'd say that we could probably maintain a above.
Sure.
Yeah, especially because like last year, Captain America was the big movie, and that was a bit of a disappointment, and I don't really remember
but it also
February.
was a fucking Marvel movie.
Exactly. I don't really remember the offerings of February 2023, why that was tied with 2025, basically. I don't know.
We'll see next month, Tanner.
Exactly.
Fun fact.
Okay.
But we're already taking a look, Tanner, at what the top 10 highest grossing movies are of the year.
Having a bit of fun. We're having a bit of fun.
It's really not that different. I mean, it's the top 10 that we talked about at the beginning, just with the numbers more clearly stated. And half the shit won't be on this list in 4 weeks or in like 3 weeks.
Exactly. Exactly. Pretty funny, yeah. And then worldwide is largely the same. There are some different entries in here. What gets bumped out, Tucker? There's two different
Lord
movies
of the
in
Rings
here. Melania Lord of the Rings and Melania get bumped out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because in here we have, so at number 10 there is a German comedy called Extraverst. And Tucker, excuse me, I have to get the.
I don't know what that is. It's an anime thing of some kind.
It's an anime movie. It is. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Hypnoseismic Division Rap Battle Rule the Stage Battle of Pride 2023. It's 2026. Why you calling the movie 2023?
Wait, what? That's weird.
I know. That's the name of the movie.
I don't know anything about this. No idea. But the headlines here, let's go through these quickly.
Oh, sure.
Godzilla Minus Zero is real. It is coming this year in November. Holy epic, Tanner. Holy epic.
Hell yeah.
Same creative team as far as I can recall.
Yes.
Director Takashi Yamazaki, I believe is his name.
Yep, I think that's right. More on the Netflix Warner Brothers front. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos said the 45-day theatrical window will be maintained once their purchase of Warner Brothers is approved. That is still pending. Paramount and the Ellison family are throwing a real shit fit, trying to get foreign legal bodies involved, getting like the EU regulators involved, trying to sway the shareholders of Warner Brothers and everything. I maintain that this deal will go through at some point this year. There's a buddying up from both Sarandos to the Trump family and the executive branch and everything, the Trump administration, but also that they have a connection to the Ellison family. So we'll see who wins out there. I maintain it will be Sarandos. I think he's actually was testifying before a House committee earlier this week. Regarding this and regarding like the monopoly stuff that it being accused of the merger here, so I don't know. Again, it'd be ideal if no one bought Warner Brothers, but Netflix is better than Paramount, so
we'll see. A new Leica film, they do stop motion animated films.
Yes.
Is called Wildwood. It'll release in October. Okay.
Yeah. Cool stuff. A teaser for this is pretty cool. There hasn't been a Leica movie since. Missing Link that's them, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not Early Man. Early Man is Arbin. Missing Link was the 2018, I believe, Leica film.
Damn.
Amazon MGM, yeah.
Well, they've just been fucking twiddling their thumbs. What's going on?
I don't know.
Or does it just take 8 years?
Travis Knight has been waiting on more money from his daddy, I guess.
I guess so.
Amazon MGM's I Play Rocky will be releasing in theaters on November 20th. This is a biopic about Sylvester Stallone and the making of the film Rocky in 1976 or 1975, whatever.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, I've heard from people on the insiders, people who have heard secondhand test screenings from this, that this movie is apparently quite good, and so it makes sense that Amazon MGM is setting this up for a award season date. So we'll see if that pans out. Yeah. I think this could be a hit. People like Rocky, and people generally will go to see a biopic maybe of this kind.
Well, I think this is pretty unique.
Sure, I think so too. It's not because it's not a music thing. It's like a making of a iconic movie thing, which is not absolutely not as common as a music biopic.
No, like fucking Bank. I don't know. maybe it'll. I can't really think.
Imagine if this thing did Mank numbers. Can you imagine?
That's funny. That was a Netflix movie, Tanner. I didn't fall for your fucking sultry wiles there.
Thank you.
A24, Tanner, has won the high-stakes bidding war for Olivia Wilde's next film, The Invite, coming out of Sundance Film Festival.
Yes.
Is there anything kind of saucy about this?
This is a swinger comedy, Tucker. It's a comedy about swingers.
What is it these days,
Exactly. But, it's also got big stars. I believe the cast is Olivia Wilde herself is in this. Seth Rogen, Edward Norton, and Penelope Cruz, I want to say, are those are the two couples that they sort of, they meet and things get awkward and intertwined as the Edward Norton Penelope Cruz couple sort of tries to entice Olivia Wilde and Seth Rogen to become swingers with them.
Sure. Naturally.
But yeah, apparently Olivia Wilde, the writer and director of this, was very adamant about this film being in theaters, didn't want to sell it to a streamer, which I'm all about, baby.
Yeah.
But Netflix,
whoever's made the goddamn Gundam movie,
the goddamn Gundam movie.
The goddamn Gundam. They're like, put this shit on fucking streaming.
Yeah,
fuck you.
They have
fuck
sold
you, Sydney Sweeney starring Gundam movie. Fuck you. Put that in theaters. Fuck you.
Yeah, which again just sounds fake. Like Sydney Sweeney Gundam movie, and Noah Centineo for just to throw that in there. He's a Netflix favorite. But yeah, I mean, like this film this year. I don't really know. This is what I was talking about with like the Sydney Sweeney upcoming projects thing. I was actually going to look up her film log or her upcoming. Yes, I think Split Fiction. Oh yeah, Joseph Fares was just like, yeah, I've like met with Sydney Sweeney. She's got like a lot of energy and really excited about this, and maybe that's what John M. Chu is working on next too. So maybe that will be filming this year. That'll be Sydney Sweeney's next project up.
Yeah, that'll be in theaters.
Oh yeah,
I don't think Joseph Fares would want that on streaming.
I don't think so.
What are you trying to see what else she's got in her plate?
Yeah, she's apparently rumored for a cameo in The Devil Wears Prada 2, so that's what we'll be seeing her in this year.
That, I mean, a supporting role or something. Like, I mean, frankly, she should be like, the new star of it, but like, like the new character or whatever.
Yeah.
But interesting.
Yeah, Split Fiction says in production. Everything else is either in pre-production or in development, which means kind of might be stuck development hell kind of thing. Like her Barbarella remake is in development. But there's all sorts of things that are the only thing in production on IMDb listed is Split Fiction.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the next SS Rajamouli movie, which I don't know if we mentioned on this channel before. It was kind of like teased a couple months ago, but it's called Varanasi, and it'll be released worldwide. Oh my god, dude! A fucking worldwide release date for a fucking
worldwide release date,
movie.
And in PLF, he signed a deal with IMAX to release it in IMAX screens as well. April 7th, 2027. Yeah, it took a worthy thing to happen, I would say.
Oh my fucking god!
For this film,
welcome back 2022. A Rajamouli film and a Daniels film.
True, Tucker's so goddamn true. Yeah. I think this is what was it? Oh yeah, it's like infusing like Hindu mythology and then like espionage and action and car chases and everything like that.
Why not?
What the fuck is this guy cooking? I can't wait for it. Okay.
5 years, man.
WB, Warner Brothers, has greenlit a new Nancy Meyers film, which is set to release on Christmas 2027. Nancy Meyers has...
WB did a bunch of like release dates, kind of like schmoovin' and groovin'. Most of it just like, a couple weeks moving, like not huge, but...
This is a pretty big date to stake out, I would say. I think they're hoping for, since we just talked about it, a housemaid style thing where, like, this is Nancy Meyers is kind of like the crown queen, like the crown matriarch of, like, the modern rom-com.
Sure.
And I think I think Kieran Culkin is in this, and then is Scarlett Johansson in this, maybe? Hang on. I gotta look up at the cast of this, but it doesn't have a title yet, but really exciting that, she's not had a movie since 2015, I think. And she's just struggled to get a movie financed and made. Penelope Cruz, Kieran Culkin, Jude Law, Emma Mackey, and Owen Wilson.
Awesome. Yeah, like all of them. Cool. And again, shout out to Pam DeLuca and Mike DeLuca and Pamela Abdi for working with really interesting creatives and staking out a major slot.
Exactly.
Like that's big.
What's the big blockbuster for December 27th?
Hey, you're the guy to know that. And frankly, I'm disappointed.
It's fucking Secret Wars.
Oh,
right? Yeah, because this year is Doomsday and next year is Secret Wars.
We'll see if that hits.
Well, yes.
I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, Secret Wars and the next Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, are both dated for December 27th.
I'm sorry, The Hunt for Gollum's not gonna. That's not real competition.
Not a real movie. Okay, fair enough.
Not real competition.
The last thing to talk about. This is pretty major, honestly. Something that I didn't see getting a lot of press attention. Vin Diesel, it being the sole marketing source, the sole marketing source for the Fast and Furious franchise at this point, confirms that the final Fast and Furious movie, titled Fast Forever, will release on March 17th, 2028.
Okay. 5-year gap, man.
If you say so.
5-year gap.
But this is also, there's just been so many headlines and like rumors about this movie that this is like them stripping it back and taking it back to like the streets of LA to like, get that budget down. But then the last movie ended with a fucking dam exploding and like missiles and military planes and shit. Like, is Jason Momoa still going to be the villain of this movie?
I don't know, man.
Dante, our favorite character, Dante.
What about the Dante spinoff?
The Dante spinoff and the submarine that Gal Gadot is on in Antarctica.
She can just step off that. They don't have to use that.
That's true. That's a fair point. And there's also there was the Dante spinoff, and wasn't there also another Hobbs spinoff that they were going to do?
Was it not going to be Hobbs and Dante? I thought that was what it was going to be.
Oh, maybe. Was it going to be Hobbs and Dante?
I don't know, man.
Well,
none of this shit's happening.
Also The Rock is back. That was teased at the end of Fast X as well.
And here's what I'll say, Tanner.
Yeah.
if the Oracle is here in early 2026 and we're looking at over 2 years from now, that's what Vin Diesel is saying. None of this is true. The movie will not be called that, and it will not hit that release date.
Okay,
that is what the Oracle is predicting.
Again, it does delegitimize a little bit when Vin Diesel's Instagram is the source of all this information.
Yeah, of course, yes. You want that from a press release. You want that from fucking Variety. Like,
yeah.
I don't buy any of this shit. I don't buy any of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But if we're taking a look at February, it could be a little bit bigger. I think we've got a decent little slate here of things that might overperform a little bit. Wuthering Heights looking to be sort of the Valentine's Day rom, probably not com at all.
Not com, probably rom-com more like, because this thing's gonna be sexy and sticky and wet as hell.
That's fucking crazy. Tanner,
it's gonna be. We're sticking fingers in orifices.
Please call it a rom-com in your Letterboxd review, please.
I will. Okay, let's break this down a little bit, weekend by weekend here. So we are in the softest, the first weekend.
Is that Kevin James?
That's Kevin James. That is his film, Solo Mio, being released by Angel Studios. It's Paul Blart.
Wait, sorry. Say that again. Being released by Angel Studios.
Angel Studios film, yes.
Oh, Kevin. Oh, you're Paul Blart, man. You don't gotta go to Angel Studios.
Well, he is, and it's like a nice, sweet, like he gets stood up at his wedding or something, and then he goes on a solo trip to Italy or something.
Does he find God? Probably.
I don't know. I don't think it's a super religious movie. I think it's just like I think it's like a family friendly kind of movie.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the fucking weekend that no one's ever gonna watch either of these movies.
Yeah, and also The Strangers Chapter 3, the epic conclusion, Tucker, to the Strangers trilogy. They were all supposed to come out in 1 year, and they came out 2024, 25, and 2026.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Wuthering Heights, as we mentioned, is same day actually as Crime 101 and Ghost. Yes. 3 movies.
And Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die are all Valentine's Day weekend releases.
Not so much Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, but the other 3 I have pretty solid expectations for, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think these will all perform fairly well. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is trying to mount like sort of a more grassroots marketing thing. They just announced that they're, if you've lost your job to AI, that you can get a free ticket to go see the movie.
How do you fucking prove that?
I don't know. There's a form you can fill out. There's a form you can fill out online. It's return of Gore Verbinski after was The Cure for Wellness his last film in 2017.
Really? Wow. A while ago, yeah.
Yeah, been a long time since Gore was in theaters, and I've seen this movie. It was a mystery movie.
I saw Iron Lung. There's plenty of gore in theaters.
Okay, all right. Tucker. Okay, fine. But I saw this movie. I think it's pretty good. I would actually recommend people go check it out.
You saw Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die?
Yeah, it was a mystery movie.
Oh, that's right.
Well, a mystery movie like 3 weeks before it came out, which is pretty nuts. Oh yeah. The weekend after that, February 20th, is a little bit of a smaller weekend. We get an A24 Glenn Powell sort of crime comedy called How to Make a Killing that I think looks pretty fun as well.
We will be there.
And then a slasher film called Psycho Killer that I've just seen on release calendars. I don't really know how big or notable this thing is. I mean, it's Tucker, what's her name? Barbarian. What's her name?
I don't remember her name. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, you're fucking useless, Tucker.
I'm fucking no help at all. And then there's also Scream 7 and another faith-based film called I Can Only Imagine 2 coming out. So
that's right. That's February 27th.
This is a nice full month. We got all sorts of genres. We got decent kind of programming going on for a major holiday weekend. I think that this could be pretty big, especially for February. I've got pretty good hopes for not necessarily all these movies being good or be liking them, but for people going to see them, especially on opening weekends.
Georgina Campbell, by the way. I had to look up her name. Okay, so Tucker, let's cap it all off and talk about what we think will be the top 5 biggest openings of February 2026. So we're pulling the sheet off. We like to do this now. We have we unveil our predictions. Whoa, Tucker, you're not. Whoa, okay, hang on. This
Tanner,
is interesting to me.
I just think that horror has strong opening weekends, and so I don't know, man. Like, I think Wuthering Heights will hang around for longer. I think it'll be the higher grossing movie at the end of the day. But I think, I don't know, Scream 6 opened really big. So
yeah, I mean, what did Scream 6 open to? Let's find out. I looked this up and I have my own numbers here that I
it's the only difference that we have actually, and you and I didn't talk about these at all. So this is I'm actually surprised to see how similar our predictions.
So Scream 6 opened to $44 million back in 2023.
That's a lot of money.
What's that? What's it? The reboot 2022 Scream opened to 30. Okay, so that was a tick up for Scream 6.
I think a small tick down for this.
Okay,
I don't think a huge tick down, but I think a tick down, maybe 40. Mm-hmm. I don't usually do numbers, but if I'm
that's what you're feeling.
I think 40. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what I have.
do numbers. What are your predictions for these 5 movies?
All right, Tucker. There is a palpable energy that I feel around Wuthering Heights. I think it is just spooling up to be...
There's a palpable energy in my pants.
It is just spooling up to be... It's like the perfect thing to be releasing on this Valentine's Day weekend. It's going to be a date movie. Everyone's going to go see this. I think it's going to be a big major deal. I'm going to say $60 million opening weekend. Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, you've been diagnosed a few times with overperforming or over predicting opening weekends, so we'll keep that in mind.
But everything that I'm seeing, everything that I'm seeing, projections are looking at are like a 50 plus. So I have a hot hand on Wuthering Heights and saying 60. For Scream 7, I wrote down Scream 6. Well, that's not the right one. Scream 7, I'm going to say 40.
Okay, that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah. So, but I think it could be less, just because as much as there is a palpable energy around Wuthering Heights, I kind of feel the opposite of Scream 7.
Sure.
Everything that they're doing with the marketing, even the vibe I get from like general audience people who obviously don't know anything about the movie and its controversies, or perhaps they know less about it. Yeah. Everything I get from the vibe of watching those trailers with an audience are people sort of like rolling their eyes and not being very interested in this film.
Yeah, they've really only had like one trailer, and I think it's kind of annoying.
There's going to be we're talking about this on Super Bowl Sunday. Apparently, there's going to be a big game trailer for this.
I mean, we still have a month until this movie comes out.
Exactly. But apparently, I think this big game trailer will be the kickoff of the major marketing push for the rest of the month for this.
Yeah, so we'll see if those vibes are around.
Exactly.
Sony animated film. What are you predicting?
20. I think this will do pretty well. Sure. There's not really been like a kids movie offering so far this year, and as we often see when those are withheld for a while, things tend to do pretty well. I don't think it's going to be huge by any means, but I think it's got good marketing. It's got a good, it's got a big cast in it. I think the animation looks pretty interesting and an easy hook for kids. It's talking animals playing basketball.
Yeah, and Tanner, main character is going to be in Fortnite. I don't know if you saw that.
Caleb McLaughlin goat.
I don't know, man. Some shit, but there's a goat crossover, so I don't know. That might actually be like that.
That might do something.
That might do something. Crime 101. What's your prediction?
I meant to flip these around. Can I still do that?
Fucking fine.
Okay. I mean, Tucker, it's more differences. It's more things for us to be right and wrong about. So I'm actually going to say I Can Only Imagine 2 at number 4. I'm going to say 15 million, and then Crime 101 I'm going to put at number 5 at 10. I think this is going to be a pretty soft thing. And again, I don't really understand why. Like, I just don't feel again.
What's wrong with Crime 101? I don't know. I mean, it seems kind of generic, but like
it seems generic. I think it's got a big cast, but like not any cast members that really seem to be moving the needle. Like,
which is funny because Chris Hemsworth should be that kind of guy, but he's just kind of not.
Yeah, and then I mean you have like Chris Hemsworth and Halle Berry, who's obviously a huge star, but like what has she been in that's done well in like the past 5 to 10 years? Barry Keoghan is more of like
20 years. Like what?
Yeah, fair enough. I don't have the Halle Berry career Rolodex in my mind, so I didn't want to speak too
sincerely,
off
like in terms of blockbusters, like X-Men, and then like dramas around that time, like.
Yeah, and then like Mark Ruffalo and Barry Keoghan, who have never been box office draws, really. Yeah, it's not even like this.
She was in John Wick 3.
Oh, well, yeah, should be true. Good point. But side character. And this, it's not like from a famous director. I think it's from a first-time director, and like it's based off a book that I have never heard of before. I just don't know if there's anything strangely to say, I don't think that there's anything that gets an audience in the theater for this. It's also 2 hours and 20 minutes long, which is fucking nuts. Like, right. What the fuck?
Okay, criminal.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it hurts that it's generic. I think it hurts that there's movie stars that for whatever reason aren't really drawing people into the theater for this, and it's obviously going to get swallowed up by a like adult offering like Wuthering Heights, and then a kids offering like Goat, and then who's going to see Crime 101? Like
what?
dads?
The kids aren't going to Crime 101? If Goat wasn't coming out, they would be. Is what Tanner
exactly. And like dads who don't want to see like Margot Robbie with fingers in her mouth on with Wuthering Heights.
I mean, we do have a kids movie, a female skewing movie, and a very much a dad skewing movie with Crime 101. So there's a spread here. And then, of course, what you're also predicting is I Can Only Imagine 2, a sequel to a very successful faith-based film. And this is, I think this is the kind of the start, Tanner, of us being like, okay, we're not undershooting the potential, especially opening success of faith-based films, which, of course, we're not planning to go see this. It's not something that's in our wheelhouse, but if we're trying to be accurate, we got to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it helps as well that a lot of times when we underestimate those things, it's because there are a greater number of major studio releases, where February, has its fair share, but is not crazy.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this month. Thank you, everyone, for sitting down talking about January. Dumpuary maybe continues, but also maybe not.
Maybe not.
See you next time.
Bye.
Wink.